Just unmute your mics. Unmute your mics, okay? Mesdames et messieurs, welcome to George Floyd Live Talk. Today, our guest, we have Alexandre Victor, CEO of Institut Dynasty. We also have Mr. Randy Kwanzaa, who is a CEO and founder of Cujo's Kid Zone, and directly from the beautiful, sunny Florida. He's an entrepreneur. We have Mr. Bruce Bain. How you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Good.
Good. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put Alexandre and Bruce backstage right now, and then we're gonna start off our interview with Randy. So we got some hors d'oeuvres, we got some champagne for you guys backstage right now. Wait for you guys, all right?
We'll enjoy.
All right, man. Mr. Randy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Former Montrealer. I'm very honored to be getting interviewed by Malik Shahid, aka Versatil. Versatil, you know what it is.
I know what's up.
Good, man. Well, welcome to the show. You know, I mean, the show's all about empowerment, all about talking about positive things. You know, I mean, I know right now you're in Calgary. What's the vibe in Calgary right now? What's the vibe over there?
Vibe in terms of COVID, vibes in terms of
just in everything, and like, you know, I would say more vibes in terms of diversity and culture, ethnicity, and cultural acceptance.
Yeah, well, you know, it's really interesting because coming from Montreal, coming here, I had a lot of different misconceptions about Calgary. There's fantastic opportunities for people that are out here that are willing to put in the work. And if you come from Montreal, you know, you have a certain kind of hustle mentality that if you apply it, if you apply it here in Calgary, you can do very, very extremely well for yourself. And very opening, very open. Definitely not as diverse as Montreal is, but in terms of business, people are operating from an abundance mindset. So it's just like, hey, how can we help you succeed? How can we collaborate? How can we do things? It's a very extremely positive energy being out here. So it's been good.
Cool. So you are the CEO and founder of Cujo's Kid Zone. So for people who don't know, explain to us what Cujo's Kid Zone is, please.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Cujo's Kid Zone is a show for kids that can be found on Kadoodle TV or on YouTube for children between the ages of 2 and 10, and it teaches children about nature, about do-it-yourself science projects. It also teaches children about social injustice issues that are happening around the world in a very entertaining and educational format.
Cool. And what inspires you to do a kids show?
Well, I have a daughter myself. She's 4 years old, and I'm always on the lookout for educational programming. So what happened is about 1.5 years ago, I was with her and my nephew out in Edmonton, and they were watching like children on gifting things on YouTube. Just really silly stuff. And my brother kind of jokingly with me was like, you could totally do this because he has 2 older children. And I thought about it, and then I got together with a friend of mine, and she was like, this is much bigger than what you think it is.
Yeah.
And then we put it together. I wanted to pay homage to my African roots. So Cujo is somebody born on a Monday. So we brought in some puppets to kind of simulate the curiosity of children.
Nice.
And so having the owl kind of having that wisdom and having this parrot that's loosely based on a parrot that my parents have at home in Montreal.
Okay.
And it started off in being a do-it-yourself project, and then it kind of slowly trickled into social injustices. We covered Black Lives Matter, we covered Pride, Orange Shirt Day, and it spiraled into what it is right now, and it's been a fantastic ride.
Cool. I know what I like. I like the fact that the kids have to make a phone call to ask you questions. That's really cool.
Yeah. So we that actually happened because of COVID. Okay. So I didn't have access to being with my parents and my other co-hosts.
Okay.
And we found another way of engaging parents, which was, hey, have your children ask a question, and we will create a show around their question. So yeah, they can call in, and we make the show designed specifically for them. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So what I want to ask you now is, talk to us about the challenges of producing the show, because it seems like a very well produced show. You're an independent producer. You know what I mean? How'd you put it all together? I know you must be using some type of green screen.
Yes, as you can see behind me. Yes, so this is where we film, right? Mm-hmm. So, we just put it together. We have actually the biggest hurdle was having that credibility. So my background is in human resources, so I'm a corporate person, right? So my background isn't in early childhood education at all. So we needed to build credibility. So we have a program advisory board full of early childhood educators, social workers, and psychologists to help us to make sure that the language that we're using is in line with what is current and what is factual. And then, we have a studio over here. We have lights. We have the green screen that we use. I have a fantastic editor that's able to piece these things together.
You need that.
You need that, right? And we have a lot of community support. There's a lot of parents that are going through situations where they're looking and they're desperate for resources to have with their children to teach them during this COVID time. And the timing was just perfect. And I'm so happy they support. There's a lot of words of encouragement, and their children are asking for the show. They're inspired by it, and that's what it's about.
Good for you. And when you do these type of shows, it's all about passion. It's not all about making money, but there is a cost to it. Let's talk about your Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, for sure. So for the last year and a half, it's been out of pocket, right? So we've been applying to a lot of different grants.
Get those grants.
Yeah, right. Until those grants do come in, we still need to provide the quality content that we have. So we developed a Kickstarter campaign. We're looking to raise $10,000. We've raised roughly about $4,800 so far, but it's like an all or nothing. So if you don't raise the $10,000, what ends up happening is that all the money gets given back to the donor. So we want to ensure that we hit that mark. So we have another 10 days to reach that. So if people haven't already donated, I would highly encourage you, go to Kickstarter, look up Cujo's Kid Zone, and any donation, small or big, really helps. It will go a long way.
Okay, good. So talk to us about the social justice issues that you covered in your show.
Absolutely. So as I had alluded to before, I have a daughter who's 4 years old, right? And I wasn't expecting to have these conversations with her at such a young age, but with everything around that's been happening, she's a smart young girl. She's going to be asking questions. And I know if I'm experiencing this, there's other parents that are experiencing this as well. So I went to the protest for Black Lives Matter.
How was that? How was the show up in Calgary?
Oh, it was fantastic. You know what? I learned a lot of things, Malik. And one of the things that I had learned is that we have a lot of allies here in the Black community out in Calgary. We just have a lot of allies, period, just global. You know, and if we're going to make any kind of serious change or headway, we have to really leverage our partnerships with other people from different backgrounds, culturally, different minority groups, marginalized groups, in order to come together, because the population of Black people in Canada is only at 4%. So we need to make sure that we bring as much people as possible. Anyhow, nonetheless, we had gone to the protest, and I had asked a lot of parents, like, what do you plan on doing after these protests? How are you having these conversations? with your children, and it inspired me to create that episode for parents and children, and just talking surface level, right? So like, what is melanin? What is privilege? What is racism? But in ways that children can be able to understand, and then also parents can understand what are the deeper issues, that they can make it in such a way that it's palatable for kids to understand.
Okay, good. And this is to talk about your point in terms of, it's important for the Black community to have allies, but it's important also for our allies to stand up publicly and voice their opinions. I find there's a lot of allies that we have, but they're still hiding and they're scared to speak out, what's wrong, what's not.
Absolutely. And you know what, Malik, the one of the biggest things is that there is fear. There's just this underlying fear of like, I don't want to say something out of pocket because I don't want to be perceived as a bigot or a racist. Yeah. And then there's also an underlying level of frustration within some people in the Black community that are very frustrated and tired of their situation. But there has to be a certain degree of grace, and there has to be a degree of also patience, and there has to be an open dialogue of communication to allow people to feel comfortable. Because if you don't feel comfortable in coming to me or anybody and having a conversation that is going to be progressive and forward thinking, it's going to hinder the progress that we can make as a community at large, right? Yeah. So we need to have this open dialogue, right? So it's tough. It's not easy. It's a very complex issue, but I think the most important thing is having people have an open dialogue and feeling comfortable in having that. And that was the underlying issue with my show, is that I wanted to have that, hey, have this conversation with your children. Yeah. And like starting a conversation with your children. I'm just here to initiate it, but this can bring you in so many different directions. And because of that particular protest that happened in Calgary, it really made me think that, hey, listen, you know what? As much as we are a marginalized groups, there's other marginalized groups that need to have light shed on them too as well. And it's up to every individual to use their platform, just like how you're using this particular platform to shed light on different issues. I think it's up to every individual to use their platform, whether that's at work amongst their friends, or whether that means in terms of educating themselves, right? Yeah, so definitely. That's what it is at the end of the day.
Okay, cool. I want to let people know that we are presently with Mr. Randy Kwanzaa. He's the CEO and founder of Cujo's Kids Zone. Later on in the show, we have Mr. Alexandre Victor from Institute Dynasty Basketball. And then we also have Mr. Bruce Bain, who is an entrepreneur from Florida. So listen, Randy, what we're going to do right now, we're going to put you backstage in the VIP. You know what I mean? Don't drink all the champagne. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring on Mr. Victor to join us right now. All right?
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Of course. So you are watching George Floyd Live Talk, and we will be definitely touching on the U.S. election. But before we do that, I want to invite a very special guest. He is the CEO of Dynasty Basketball. Mesdames and messieurs, welcome to the show, Mr. Alexander.
Hey, it's an honor to be there with you, Malik, man. I've been following you for so many years, so you get to be on the show with you. It's great, man. I feel like I made it.
Definitely. You made it, baby. You made it, man. So everything. Congratulations on your new project. It's very, very interesting. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
It's I want you to talk about this basketball institute that focuses on the Francophone market. Very interesting.
Well, basically, I played ball up to university after I started being in business. And I kind of stepped away from the game. So I kept in, looking at different opportunities. And I just saw there were a lack in the overall like basketball ecosystem in Quebec. And I think we weren't taking advantage of like some specific things that represent us. We put up we bought like an old church, converted to a sportsplex.
So you bought it? You actually bought it?
We bought it. I mean, we own the place. So, wow. and for us, it was really important. For us, it was really, really important.
Okay. Now, Dynasty Basketball, is there an affiliation with the team that was in Amos years ago?
Actually, not. I mean, Igor was the one who founded Amos, and he founded Thetford after that. Yes. And in our first year, Igor is someone I reached out to. I really respected what he did. as far as building a program. And I actually helped him out when he was in Thetford. And I asked him, he kind of retired, and then I pitched him. I say, hey, we got this thing going. We'd love you to be on. And he said, you know what? I'll give it a year. And he helped us really put it up together. So he's been involved. He had his hand into it. But he went on to other things, and we're building on it.
Yeah, I know it's not easy. It's very big challenges. So talk to us now in terms of what do you do to recruit the players? How does that work?
I mean, growing up in Montreal, there's a lot of African guys who came to study at university.
Yeah.
And I myself played for a team that was called the Broyeurs. And one of the guys is actually the president of the federation in Chad. My wife is Senegalese. I have a friend in Cameroon. So we just through networking, we were able to get our hands on different players. We went to visit them in their home countries.
Wow.
Talk to the parents and make sure that the fit was good, because we can only take so many. So we travel. I'm actually supposed to go to Egypt in December for the CAN under 18. So I'm going to go over there.
The CAN
watch some games.
Under 18? What's the CAN under 18? What is that?
It's actually the African Cup for under 18 basketball tournament.
Oh,
so I think there's 8 of the best countries in Africa, and we're going to be in Egypt. We're going to be in Egypt to watch those games.
Okay, dope. And you know what's interesting? I know the NBA is looking to start an African league. So I know there's definitely talent in Africa. What's the difference between a town in Africa and a town in North America?
The biggest difference is kids in Africa start to play late. Most of them play soccer. I mean, same for us. We played. A lot of us played soccer before, so they're kind of in that
hockey.
Yeah, exactly. But kids there start a lot older, so their game isn't as polished. But athletically, they're hungry. Athletically, height is something we don't have all the time here. So, I mean, it's a huge market. And, the Francophonie is over 300 million people. So the pool of talent from which we can recruit, it's just, and they're all dreaming to come to North America. So they get to live the American dream, but in French. Okay. So it's a win-win situation.
I want to let the people know they are watching George Floyd Live Talk. We are present right now with Alexandre Victor, who is the CEO of Dynasty Institut Sport. And we also have with us from Florida, Mr. Bruce Bain, entrepreneur, who will be talking to us later on about wealth management, the U.S. elections. And we also have Mr. Randy Kwanzaa from Calgary. He's the CEO, founder of Cujo's Kids Zone. He will also be coming back on the show. So my question to you is, you go recruit these players, they come here, and then what?
They live in-house. We bought the church, and we also brought the old presbytery. So the kids, all the guys, even the local kids, they live on site. It's really like a room and board. So we get the control, and they build the skills. We build character. It's really getting them ready to the next level. So every morning they work out, then they go to school. Obviously, we're a team with some high school and for them to be in school.
So what school are you affiliated with? What school are you affiliated with?
We actually do business with 3 schools. The first one is Marcelin Champagnat for international kids. It's cheaper for us to actually put them in a private school than the public school.
Oh, really?
Our local kids, because the international fee in a local school is really expensive.
Oh, wow.
And so we have this partnership with them, so they lower the price.
Nice.
We have the local high school for local kids. We have Bois de Boulogne for CEGEP level kids. Okay. And we actually also offer the grade 12. So our kids are basically following the same system that they do in Ontario or in the US. They do 11th grade, then 12th grade, then they can either do a prep year or go straight to university.
Okay. Now, I know this costs a lot of money. A lot of these kids can't afford this. How are you guys funding this?
Hey, I worked 15 years of my life, and it was making money and trying to move up, and I really felt that I wanted to align my personal life through my business, and I was involved with Abaca building courts in Africa. So basically, we invested a lot of money. We're investing a lot in those kids, and but I believe that, private companies are going to step up with the product that we're bringing. We already have like important talks with like serious companies. So for the first 3 to 5 years, it's a lot of out-of-pocket expense.
Okay.
But it's, giving kids an education and enabling them to get like scholarship offers. Some of these kids couldn't go to college if it wasn't from scholarship. So we put them on track. And, so
okay.
It's just, we gotta, I mean, I as a community, I really feel that we have to create opportunities for others. I think so. I was able to build some type of success. So I'm reinvesting for other kids to be able to have opportunities.
Okay. Let's talk about a day in the life of one of your kids. Do they go to school in the morning? Do they practice first? What's the déroulement?
Well, when they wake up in the morning, 7 o'clock, they're on the court. So we have 2 separate groups because to maximize their touches. So one group will do 3 days a week in the morning. The other group will do 2 days. So we have that. We have weight training 4 times a week. Every night at 5:30, we have practice until 7:30.
Okay.
So I mean, and they have to put in a certain amount of shots every day. So in their free time, on top of the practices, on top of the skills workout, on top of the weight training, they have to get in the gym. And that's why we wanted to buy the gym, because it's a lot. It's a lot of time that they have to spend in the gym. Actually.
Yeah. Mary King says that's a real great, nice accomplishment. Talking to you.
Appreciate it.
No problem. So I'll let people know you're watching George Floyd Live Talk. We are presently with the president and CEO of Dynasty Institute Basketball. Later on the show, we do have Mr. Bruce Bain from Florida, who will be coming on the show talking about wealth management and also the U.S. elections, of course. And coming back to hang out with us will be Randy Kwanzaa. He's the CEO and founder of Cujo's Kids Zone. So for the Institute, let's talk about the quality of players from Montreal that are coming out now. Now we have Lou Gensdorf in the NBA. We have Kem Birch, who plays for Orlando Magic in the NBA. We have Mr. Slim Duck, who plays for Toronto in the NBA. Am I missing any other NBA players from Montreal?
Kem Birch. I don't know if you Kem Birch.
Orlando Magic. Yeah,
Orlando Magic. I think for now that's
just 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Now I know we got that kid in Arizona and Clemson. They look like they can go. What do you?
They have a good the Prosper kid, and also the kid in Arizona. Yeah, Arizona. Both of them, I think, have good chances. They're young, and let's see how they pan out, how they play in the NCAA. But I really believe that they have like special attributes that they could make it to the league.
Mm-hmm. Now I know in Toronto they have Orangeville. Is that what it's called? Orangeville. So I guess your thing is a similar type of program.
Yeah, I mean, I went to visit Orangeville before we started what we did, and obviously, you got to inspire yourself from successful programs. So definitely but they're more local. They really get kids from the Toronto area. Mm-hmm. So exactly. So they're mostly local. We tried to bring that international flavor because I really felt that, there's talent out there. And in Quebec, I mean, it's weird, but we have over 100 kids, high talent kids that leave starting like in grade 9 or 10. A lot of our best
school. They go to prep school.
They go to prep school because they don't feel that there's a program locally that they don't have to sacrifice their dream to stay here. So they leave. Yeah. So I felt that, if we have a program that's solid, then kids would have an option to stay if they decide to do
okay. So. Now let's talk about the league you guys play in. You guys play in the NLA and the NSC. Talk to us about those leagues.
Well, the NPA is a great league. I mean, it goes all the way from BC to Halifax, and the competition there. And they work in session. So we have like 4 games in a weekend. So we don't have to travel for 1 game because that's, Canada's so big. If you need to travel to BC for a game, I mean, financially, it absolutely won't make any sense. So they just put in and they're serious, they're organized, they promote players, and they're a private organization. And I feel that they're perfectly aligned with who we are as an organization. So
I met the guys, at Champlain College when the NBA teams came down, the junior NBA teams came down.
Yeah, definitely.
And they played against the Seagyps. Yeah. So how long has your organization been around for now?
This is our second year. I mean, we bought the place 2.5 years ago. We had a full season last year, and this year there's second season that we don't know what kind of season it's going to be because of COVID. But so it's our second season.
Okay, cool. So if people have any questions, they can go to institutdesportdynastie.com. If you have any questions, right now we're going to put you backstage, and we're going to bring you back later on the show. But we want to bring on Mr. Florida. Hopefully, he can bring some heat to Montreal.
All right. Thank you very much for having me, Malik.
All right, you're coming back on. Don't worry, you're coming back on. We got you. Back.
I'm gonna get some champagne. I'll be back.
Yeah, get some champagne. Save some for me, please.
Will do.
All right. So up next we have Mr. Bruce Bain. He's a former Montrealer. He's an entrepreneur. He's living the life right now in the heat in Florida. Mr. Bruce Bain, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Listen, I know you long enough to call you Shahid, all right? There's no Malik here.
Malik, whatever you want, whatever. Hold on. Let me give you the salute.
Hey, listen, Shahid. First, I want to thank you for inviting me on to have a few words with your audience. And two, of course, I want to thank you for the work that you do with the children. You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And so this isn't something that you just decided to do because it was popular. This is something you've been doing for a while. So I tip my hat because our youth is really one of the most important investments we can handle. So thank you for that.
Good. So while you're in Florida right now, what part of Florida are you in?
So I live in an area called Boca Raton, which is Palm Beach County.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So what's the vibe right now, the energy right now in Florida with everything that's going on with the elections?
I got to tell you, Florida is Florida. So my friends, my group, my news feed is pretty tense. It's pretty tense. I have friends on both sides, and I've never seen it as divided as it is today. It's a little uneasy. It's even for work. Nobody says anything. Nobody wants to talk about anything. Nobody's people are no hints, no nothing. So we're not talking about it. We're all just checking our phones, and I'm looking at my screen right now. There's between 260 and 250 and 260. Like that's where it's at live right now. So,
what's the number?
Between right now? So if you look at AP, I think it's at 250 something.
Okay.
But yeah, he's a couple.
Who's he? Who's he?
Well, the vice president, the old vice president.
Okay, so he's ahead right now.
He's ahead right now. The incumbent is only at 213 points right now. So that's where it is. It doesn't mean anything until everything is counted. There's still a lot of votes that need to be counted. A lot of different states have different rules. So there's a lot of things that are coming in right now that still need to be counted. So everyone's on edge. They call it the nail biter. It's a little unsettling. It's unsettling because 50% of the country thinks a certain way and the other 50 thinks another way. So
definitely. So let's talk about the two brands and your two networks. Talk to us about the brands that you have in Florida.
So one of the things that's come to my here's the backstory real quick is that I was laid off, right? I was laid off and had to kind of reinvent myself, with all that's going on today. You can either sit back and wait for something to happen, or you have to reinvent yourself and hustle, right? You got to be versatile. See what I did there?
That's it, yeah.
So I have two different networks. I have my entertainment network, which is big enough, between a few different platforms. I have thousands and thousands of followers. And then I have my corporate stuff, which is, for me personally, I've kept it really small, but it's real. It's not, I'm not the LinkedIn guy that needs 50,000 followers and all kinds of stuff like that. My network is really people that I can deal and talk with. And sometimes I wonder, should I have just kept everything the same way, Bruce Bain versus AKA Bruce B. Bizzle, or Swank or all the other different pseudonyms that I have.
Companies.
And I think before this interview, I decided maybe it's okay that I kept it separate for the sole reason that it's really important on your platform to feed people the information they're looking for. If you're not giving value to your platform, then there's no sense of how many people you have.
Okay.
And so I think I answered my own question by that question, which was maybe it's a good thing that I did keep them separate, because the entertainment stuff has a different,
Market.
information they're looking for, content. And my corporate stuff is also different content that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's a challenge to balance it. You know what I mean? Because I do the same thing. You know, like right now, I'm in my t-shirt, and then during the daytime, when I gotta be a commissioner, I got my suit on.
Absolutely. Oh, congratulations, by the way. That's a great move. That's a great
Thank you. I
move.
appreciate it.
Well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna make a difference. You know, just not with that school board, but we're also going to influence other school boards and also other cities to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk to you, and because a lot of people, including myself, and many people we know, were always scared to make that jump to another city. You know, you did it, Randy did it, but you did it in another country. I mean, talk to us about the steps that you went through to make that jump and how it changed your life for the better.
Well, it was a big step.
Yeah,
It was a big step because I was married and I had 2 young children. So my parents were already living here. So it was a little bit easier for me. Unlike when my parents moved to Canada, they didn't know anybody. They didn't know the language. They'd never touched snow before. So for me, it was a little bit easier. But nonetheless, when you leave one country to go to another, you start from zero.
Yeah.
So I had to put a deposit to get a phone for my house.
Yeah.
I had 0 credit. I had to keep my credit cards for 3 years and pay them online. Thank God the internet had just started. I was paying my credit cards online. They didn't know I left. They probably thought I was on a big long vacation because I couldn't get credit here, right?
Yeah.
So up and above that, I mean, I changed industries. So I started from zero. In Montreal, I was known well enough. I was in the automotive industry. I worked for the Spinelli Group. I'd been there for a long time. I knew everybody in that industry. I was doing my little stuff with Sherlock's, if you remember. I had some, stuff over there. I had the travel agency where I was doing VIP tours with the student travel. I was all right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't take the cold anymore, and I couldn't take the politics. I couldn't take the politics, Shahid. I couldn't take the politics. It was the politics, the cold. It was a combination of everything.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to come over here. I said, let's go. I told my wife, you got one more birthday with your family, and we're out. And that October of that year, her birthday is the 19th of October. On the 28th of October, we were driving over the border to come here to Florida. So it wasn't easy, but they say that if you really want something bad enough, you're going to go ahead and make the changes to do it. Yeah.
So one of the other things that's very important, especially for young people watching and just people in general watching, is generational wealth, which a lot of us do not prepare for and is not in our vision. So talk to us about the importance of generational wealth, and how can someone start now accumulating some generational wealth?
So I'm not a financial advisor, but I play one online, like right now.
Yes.
So any of the advice or information I'm going to give is strictly on my opinion. My wife is actually in that business, but this is more for our community.
Yes.
The advice I'm going to give right now is for our community.
Yes.
And we call it family wealth or legacy wealth. And as you get older, you start to wonder about your legacy. What legacy am I going to leave?
Yes.
And because I have children, it became more important to me, my why. If we don't have a why, there's no way we're ever going to be able to start investing if we don't have a why.
Yeah.
The other big mistake we make is that we think that we have to be making $100,000 a year in order to invest.
Yeah.
It's not true. My old West Indian mother will tell you right now, it's not how much you make, it's how much you save that counts.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, when I was my children's age, I never listened.
Yeah.
I nodded. I gave them the lip service. Yeah. I never listened.
Yeah.
My mother opened an insurance policy for me when I was 18.
Thank God.
And made sure that it was paid every year, right? And then I got old enough to realize, my God, I need to keep paying on this.
Yeah.
My parents were immigrants. They were busy just trying to pay the bills and they were trying to gain and grow their wealth for us, not for them, for us.
It's true.
And so they bought real estate. They invested. My mother did a lot of that stuff. My father did the work. My mother did the work, but my mom was like the CPA. She was like the accountant person. She took care of all that stuff.
Okay.
But we have to. When we talk about generational wealth, it's not really about a lot of money. It's a whole bunch of little things, Shahid. It's first of all, teaching your children. Start teaching your children young.
Yeah.
Teach them when they're 4, when they're 5. My children get to hear my wife and us talking about financial stuff. We don't hide that in the back anymore. They need to know about it. They need to know what a mortgage is. They need to know what bills and credit cards. We need to start teaching them. We still don't teach our children financial stuff.
Yeah,
right. You were talking about Champlain College. I remember when I went to Champlain College in Lennoxville, I was crossing the quad one day, and some guy sold me a credit card for $500. $500. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Oh, it only took me 3 billing cycles to be to the top. Yeah. And it was from there to whatever percentage it was. So we need to teach our children how to avoid debt.
Yeah.
We need to teach ourselves how to avoid debt. Yeah. And by the way, I'm guilty of every single thing I'm telling you right now. I'm not perfect. I've had credit card debt. Yeah. I've had, I've had all that stuff, right? I've been through it already. I'm trying to teach my kids now. I started a credit card for my children. They get to hold it every once in a while, but what I did was I'm starting their credit history now.
Yeah, build their credit, yeah.
So, when I was growing up, I didn't have any of that stuff. My parents didn't know about that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we have the access to the internet now. We should be trying to build wealth. Education is another form of generational wealth.
Sure.
Try to help your children. Try to help your children.
Generation.
Try to help your children get their school paid for. This way, when they leave school, they don't have debt. Right? We can either have another car in the driveway for $1,000 a month, or we can pay for our kids and help us out. Yeah. I think we need to, and maybe one day we can do a little network, or we can get somebody. We know a few people in Montreal who can teach generational wealth as well, so that you have a local. I think you're a little bit more local, and we can teach them about life insurance, about how we should have a will, about how we should try to get our kids to buy real estate before they pay rent to somebody, about paying down debt, about the difference between income and wealth.
Yeah.
Right? Because having a big income that you don't do anything with doesn't change the little guy who makes right. So I think, I guess what I was trying to share with your audience is that we should spend more time trying to Google the word generational wealth and how we can do it.
We hear that, people? Google that right now. Generational wealth. Google that right now.
How to create generational wealth. If our community doesn't have wealth, we will be like this and complaining about 400 years for the next 400.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I'm in agreement with you. So, Bruce, what we're going to do right now, we're going to bring back our other guests on the show. They, because they're going to drink all the champagne. We want them to save some champagne for us. You know what I mean? So, guys, what are your thoughts on generational wealth, guys? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm huge, man. I'm huge on it because for the last 15 years, I've tried building wealth, buying real estate, doing investment for the children. So I believe education is huge. I mean, I think that's the best wealth creator. I remember the first book that was given to me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, me too.
And I mean, I was never taught that at home. I was taught to work hard, get a good paying job, and you'll retire and to the sunset, and life will be good. And that's just not reality. So I think if we can educate our children on that, and not there's building wealth, because we don't come from wealth. A lot of us, that's not our reality. So we have to teach our kids how to build that, and what the mindset that they need to have, what moves they need to make, and how important it is to do it at a young age. So I'm totally aligned with Bruce on everything you were saying.
Yeah. What about Randy? What are your thoughts on generational wealth, Randy?
So many things you said, Bruce, is like absolutely bang on. And as a first generation Canadian, it was all about, Randy, you have a roof over your head. What do you want? What do you mean? What do you mean? So it was all about just, what's up, Lee? It's literally just about just getting by, right? I don't even think it's us. It's going to be like our children's children that are going to be they're going to profit from it. Because
Randy, 90% of generational wealth can be lost if we don't teach our third generation.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Absolutely. Those are the statistics. So we need to reinforce our children the same way our parents reinforced how frugal they were, right? Because if you look at second generation Canadians now whose parents are wherever they're from, right? They're all about the Lexus and the kicks and going out and fronting and stunting and Instagram and right. So they didn't, I didn't have all that, right?
Yeah.
So we have to keep reinforcing them about it. We have a lot of single parents, whether they're mothers or fathers right now. We got to reinforce, take care of your kids. We got to teach our kids how to do what we see all the other people doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing that I'm really, and it touches me that we're all here at the same time. Malik, you're doing your thing, you're using this platform. Here you are, Bruce, here you are, Alex. And I would have never thought in a million years, Alex, we grew up in the same area.
Really?
In the South Shore, in Broadside.
Big up South Shore.
Yeah,
Bruce, you from South Shore too, right, Bruce?
No, man, I'm from Shamedy, bro. I was dissed by all y'all guys all the time. I came from. You see that? I came from the shore. They were like, "Yo, what's up with those guys?"
I don't know, when you're from Florida, it was okay, but then you said the Shamedy thing, man. I don't know, man. But all kidding aside, though, like it's beautiful thing to see all of us here. Everybody's using their platform. Everybody is in a position where they are in a position of potential power to use and leverage their knowledge and their context to push things forward. And when I don't know if it's the same thing with you all, but when I have conversations with my parents, I find it very difficult at times because you're like, why don't you just get like a regular job like everybody else does and clock in and do whatever? But it's like, no, like this is it. You want to control your destiny. You have to put yourself in these positions in terms of changing that narrative, right? And I think with our kids and our kids, we would have known and learned from our experiences in these positions, and then bringing that knowledge to them of showing them alternative ways of earning income, alternative ways of approaching situations, right? And then, like you said, having that reinforced for the first, second, third, and beyond to not lose sight and focus of continuing to put into the pot and growing, right? And growing that brand and growing that name and growing that wealth and those initiatives, right?
That's another thing. We need to work on our own brand. When I look at my LinkedIn contacts, some of them only talk about the company they work for. They don't talk about themselves and what benefits they create for other people. So that when they lose that job, they can only talk about that job. They can't talk about their brand, about themselves. If Shahid goes somewhere, it don't matter if he loses a job tomorrow because he's still Shahid. That doesn't change. He's always been Shahid for years, right? Yeah, smooth like that, right? So, absolutely. When I was growing up, there was 3 things you could be. You were either a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, or an accountant, or something like that. Yeah. You couldn't be anything else. Anything else, you were, from West Indies. Anything else, that's it. You're a loser. Yeah. So I'm giving my children the opportunity. They have to finish school. Don't get me wrong. They're going to finish school, but they can do whatever they want. They got to finish school early, so when you're 25, you could do whatever you want for 10 years. I don't care. Yeah. We live to 100 now. So why are we stressing and stressing everything that we have to have this by 30 and all these other rules?
So what I want to do, I want to take a 360 right now because, as you know, it's heated right now in the U.S. And I want to know how will the U.S. elections affect Canada? So we'll start with you, Mr. Alexandre. How do you feel that the U.S. elections will affect Canada and all different outcomes?
One thing that I will tell you is crazy, and it affects me personally, is one of the reasons I actually have a business by going to Get Kid internationally is that all high school kids from Africa are now being denied visa to get to the U.S. because of Trump.
Wow. That's
so
crazy.
So a lot of kids that decided to look at Canada were actually all kids that got denied visa, and they had no outlets to move forward. So that's when I approached them. Some of those kids were recruited by Oak Hill, Montverde, IMG, and even those kids couldn't get, through the immigration process. So, I'm seeing that, it affects us in a big way. Whatever happens, when the U.S. coughs, we get sick. So whatever happens in the U.S. will have a tremendous impact. But I just feel that we got to be ready for whatever happens. How do we win? As a Canadian, that's how I'm seeing it. Obviously, I have my personal preferences of what I would like to happen, but you got to be pragmatic about it. And whatever happens, how can we build on it?
Yeah. What about you, Randy? What are your thoughts?
It's a very complex issue. But what I would say is, in jumping off of what Alex had said, is that very much staying in your lane and trying to prepare yourself and how it's going to affect your livelihood and what you're doing, right? The beautiful thing that I can say, and especially I can't even imagine what you're going through, Bruce, with your family and your loved ones and the situation that you're in, is that
my car has really dark tints. They don't know who's inside.
The beautiful thing at the end of the day, I think we can hopefully all agree, is that one, people are exercising their right to vote, whether you're for Biden, whether you're for Trump, whatever that looks like for you. And it has people talking. It has people talking about a lot of issues that have been swept under the rug for a very extremely long time that are surfacing. And, they're not necessarily the best of dialogues all the time, but they're conversations, right? And it's important to have these conversations in order to propel us forward to whatever that looks like. I know the country is very extremely divided, and being in Canada as well, it's hard to turn a blind eye and pretend it's not affecting us. Of course it does. But it's conversations that are being had, and it's important. And I think whatever happens, good or bad or ugly, it has people talking and has people looking for a variety of different solutions.
Yeah. What about you, Bruce? I mean, you have Canadian friends still, family still.
Absolutely. Listen, no matter what happens, we're all going to have to get up tomorrow morning or next week or next month, and we're still going to have our Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, birthdays. We're still going to have to pay the bills, right? Yeah. So whoever's in office, listen, they're politicians. So for any one of us to think that one or the other is good or worse, they're politicians, man, and they're there to do what they got to do. At the end of the whole story, it's not the first time. And Alex made a comment that said, when the U.S. coughs, when the U.S. is sick, Canada coughs, right? Or something to that effect. The U.S. has a population of 300 million people. Canada is, 38 or 40 million now?
Yeah.
Whatever's happening here, guys, is representative of what takes place in your country, in Canada, my old country, right? So if we think that all the bad people are here, they're in Canada as well, just at a smaller, right? I see the groups, I see the people, I see the comments, I see who's for who and who's for what. I've got friends on both sides everywhere, and sometimes I read comments and I'm surprised. Now, the interesting thing is there's 4 black people here. You don't know which one of them is voting for Trump, right? Well, I'm the only American, but people assume because I'm black, I vote for Biden, right? and it's an assumption that we're making that all black people are monolithic, and we're not. And so that's kind of the thing that is a little disappointing. I think one of the other things that's disappointing is how we've been so divided. I've never seen it like this before, where if you find out a person is from the opposite party than yours, you don't want to talk to them anymore. You unfriend, click, that's it, bye. I don't talk to you. It's like that. Absolutely. So how do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. The numbers are still the same. The talking heads are talking. They're gonna keep stringing us along for commercial breaks for the next week or so.
Yeah, week. You said the right word, week.
It's going to be about a week. So I would say go back to watching the Queen Amit. What is it? The Netflix that everyone's streaming now.
What is it?
Something the Queen.
The Red Queen, the cartel thing.
No, not her. She's done already.
The Queen of the South.
No, Queen of the South is done, but she's coming back. Oh no, there's another one, Queen Amit, I think it's called. There's some new Queen show.
I haven't heard about that one. That. I'll check it out.
We're in Canada. We get things a month later, so we might be able to catch up to 30 days from now.
You get the light version.
That's true. It's true. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys. I want to let people know that to check out Cujo Kids Zone, my man Randy Kwanzaa, who's the CEO and founder of that. You know what I mean? So if you're interested, if you have kids that are interested in having some fun with my man, check out Kudos Kids Zone. And then also, if you're into basketball, you know what I mean? They got the top basketball players in the city. Institut des Sports Dynasty. Check them out also. Then you can check out my man Bruce. Hit him up on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn?
Bruce Bain, LinkedIn.
All right. I want to send a shout out to Shamba. What he says is, I think most Canadians are judgmental like that. You're black, you vote Biden. Now, shaking my head. You know what I mean? That's what Shamba says. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that a lot of Americans have that mentality also.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I want to thank you guys for coming on the show, and I also want to let you guys know to stay safe. And we'll see you guys around. Definitely follow you guys and see what you guys are up to.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. Stay safe, eh?
All right,
Peace.
take care.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.